Have you seen this Atari 2600 game? No, you haven't, because it's new. I'm gonna introduce the Atari 2600 to you, tell you a little bit about it, and then show you that they are still making Atari 2600 games today. The Atari 2600 came out in 1977, cost about $200, which is about $900 today. The graphics were horrible, the sound was abysmal, but it's what we had and we absolutely loved it. They made other systems like Pong, and I think there was a Space Invaders or Breakout type games. If you wanted to play Pong, you would buy the Pong system. If you wanted to play Breakout, you would buy the Breakout system. If you wanted to play Space Invaders, and you'd have to buy a Space Invaders system. So one of the things the Atari 2600 was accredited for is having a system that you can buy individual ROM packs for. The game came on these cartridges, so you would buy the one system and buy the individual games that would go for the system. This was groundbreaking for the video game revolution. You can see that the design was obviously inspired by a 1970s station wagon. You would take your cartridge, plug it in, turn it on, and it was ready to go. This was a very interesting time when the Atari 2600 came out. Video games were new and novel. We didn't have any of this stuff before. I can remember the first time I played a stand-up arcade machine. That was Pac-Man at a Holiday Inn in Oklahoma City. They had this little game room. My parents gave me some money to go down into the game room, and I didn't know what the arcade machines were, but they had some snack machines and this one little vending machine that had novel items. Like one was a weird smoking monkey. I don't know why I wanted that smoking monkey, but it was like a little monkey and you could light a little cigarette at it. It was just weird. I looked over and saw these arcade machines. One was Pac-Man. It was bright yellow and vibrant. It was enticing. So I took my quarter over there, dropped my quarter into that machine, and it made a response. It goes, "Ooh." That's the sound it makes when you drop a quarter. "Ooh." That was super cool because aside from a vending machine, you put money in, push a button, and a Coke comes out, you got a different sort of response. It made a sound. You drop a quarter in, you were rewarded. And then you push the start button, or the one-player button, and whoever thought of this is freaking genius, but a tune would start. And it said, "Get ready, you're about to have a super intriguing experience." You saw the little yellow character on the screen, and then you started controlling it with your hand. This was groundbreaking. You're controlling something on a screen with your hand. Revolutionary, so addicting. Everybody else had that same sort of addiction, and video games blew up. Arcade machines were being put into grocery stores, everywhere you went, gas stations. So when the Atari 2600 came out, this gave us the ability to play video games in our own home. The graphics were horrible, the sound was abysmal, but we loved it and we couldn't get enough of it. It was a craze. It was a real pop culture craze. This is the Pac-Man that came out for the Atari 2600. Took forever to be released. My mom went to Sears, got Pac-Man the day it was released. We were all so excited. She brought it home and we were ecstatic. We couldn't get that plastic off quick enough. Got it out of the box, plugged it into the system, turned it on, and said, "What the f?" The first thing I thought is, why does Pac-Man have an eyeball? Why are there dashes instead of dots? Why are the power pills square? Why are all the ghosts one color? Why does Pac-Man's mouth just keep moving even when he runs into a wall? And there were so many things wrong with it. Even the maze was stupid. It was the worst port of a video game I ever seen. I think it was more fun for people that never played the original Pac-Man. So I don't think my mom played the stand-up arcade Pac-Man ever, but when we got this, my mom became a fiend. We would come back from school and she'd just be in front of the TV like a little meth head. She really was like a crackhead on this game. And the initial games for the Atari 2600 were very simple. There's not a lot of space on these cartridges, so you had to create very light programs. There wasn't a lot of room to create anything complex. We all know Activision, they're a great gaming company today. They came along and they figured out how to program better and created games that had much improved graphics. Two that I remember right offhand was Pitfall. Pitfall was groundbreaking. This changed the game, literally. Typically being stuck on one screen with most games, everything would happen within the screen. This game became a platform style game where you go one screen to the next screen to the next screen. You can go below ground, above ground, avoiding scorpions, crocodiles, swinging on vines, collecting gold bars and silver bars, trying to get that high score. This was a great game. The other one that had notably incredible graphics was a game called Kaboom. You used a paddle and you controlled a bucket of water, and a robber would just start dropping these bombs, and you had to catch all the bombs he dropped. The graphics were really cool. The bombs looked round. The fire flickered. The graphics truly improved when Activision came into the market. A couple other Activision games that I was quite fond of. Star Master. This was cool because this was the only game that I could pretend I was in an X-Wing fighter. Barnstorming, another groundbreaking game from Activision. River Raid, you were a plane and you made your way up a river, shooting boats and bridges and everything else that got in your way. Activision was the king of making Atari 2600 games. For a while there, they just couldn't make a bad game. This was one of my very, very favorite games. It's called Adventure, and it was an adventure. You were a square dot and you went screen to screen trying to look for a key to open a castle, and the point was to find the hidden chalice in one of the castles and bring it back to your home castle. It was really the first game where you had like a world to explore. So this game introduced exploration in a video game. Not only that, this game contains the very first Easter egg ever put into a game. The programmer didn't get credit for programming the game, so he hit a little tiny dot in one of the castles. It was invisible, you couldn't see it, you just had to know where it was. If you brought that dot to a certain spot, you could go past a wall that previously you couldn't, and then you could see the game was created by, is it Warren Roberts? Adventure created by Warren Robinette. This was secret. We didn't have the internet to look stuff up. It spread by word of mouth how to get this dot and how to get into the secret room to see the game's creator. Raiders of the Lost Ark. This was a vastly larger world with many more objects to interact with, many more puzzles to figure out, many more places to visit, explore. You would find a grenade and then you'd have to know where to put the grenade to blow a hole in the wall so you can get into that wall. The point of the game was to find the Staff of Ra, take it to the map room, identify where the Ark was located, go to where the Ark was located, and then you'd have to do something really dumb, which was you had to parachute down underneath a branch into a small hole to dig for the Ark. You would play with two controllers because one would control your character. Then you used the other controller for an entirely new concept never introduced into a game before, and that was inventory management. As you went along and collected your grenades, your shovel, everything you collected would show up at the bottom of your screen, and then you would use one controller to select what item you wanted to use. The game was just groundbreaking for me. Haunted house for the Atari 2600. You don't know stress and anxiety like I do unless you have played this game. Miss Pac-Man. This was a good port. I played the hell out of this game. E.T. the Extraterrestrial. This game has its own documentary and has become renowned to be the worst game in video game history. I liked the game. I played it a lot because, like Adventure and Raiders of the Lost Ark, there was a lot to explore. You had to collect items and you had a specific goal. I love it so much. I have two of them. I do recommend you watching a documentary. It's called Atari Game Over, and it's specifically about how awful this game was and eventually became the demise and crash of the video game revolution. So around 1983, the video game industry just completely crashed. It wouldn't be revived until the Nintendo Entertainment System came out, introducing Mario. I think E.T. got a bad rap. It's not the worst game in the world. Anybody that says that was the worst game in the world hasn't played 75% of the games that were out for the Atari 2600. This is the part I'm really excited about and why I really wanted to do this video. They still make Atari 2600 games, and I have yet to plug these in and play them. First new game, Dungeon. Remember how much I loved Adventure? This one sounded great as well. Also comes with its own how to play. We have Dungeon 2. We have Epic Adventure. So I'm hoping this is influenced by the original Adventure and it's just more epic. Evil Magician 2. Another adventure type game. Again, I haven't started these games yet. We're gonna experience them for the first time together. And then last, we have Dragon's Descent. Costs a lot to print a box. You pay extra for them, and I was too cheap to get the boxes as well. However, the nice guys at AtariAge sent along this box for me. We have Dragon's Descent. So just like that, we have 5 new games I've never played, I've never seen, and most people probably haven't either. If you're interested in looking at some of the home brews that are available for the Atari 2600, 5200, and 7800, you can go to AtariAge.com and they have all the Atari things you could ever want. Leave a comment for me. Tell me which one you want to dive into first, and that will be the next video. We're going to experience these for the first time, see what comes up on the screen. Now listen, disclaimer here. I don't have anybody watching my videos yet, so I'm going to have some ghetto setup pointing my iPhone at the TV. Once I get like 1 million followers, maybe I'll upgrade equipment or something. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe, please.